Hello and welcome back to our channel, the place where we bring you the latest updates and uncover unique, untold stories about Catherine, Princess of Wales, and her royal family. Today we're diving into a sensational event. Prince William, unable to contain his anger, has issued a blunt warning to Queen Camilla after she was accused of plotting to seize the priceless tiara inheritance of Princess Catherine. A close source reveals that Buckingham Palace is in a state of extreme tension due to an internal conflict over an invaluable family heirloom. The spotlight falls on William's fierce criticism of Camilla, whom he believes deliberately encroached upon a legacy rightfully belonging to his wife. This confrontation has not only ignited a debate over ownership, but also exposed deep fissures within the royal family, leaving many to question the harmony among its members. Does Camilla's actions truly threaten the monarchy's long-standing traditions? And where will William's resolute reaction lead this saga? Join us as we delve into the gripping details of this affair, where loyalty, legacy, and power collide in an unrelenting battle. A recent conflict has erupted, centered on the Cartier Halo Tiara, one of the most iconic treasures of the British monarchy, where each sparkling diamond seems to whisper tales of a storied legacy. This tiara is more than mere jewelry. It embodies succession, tradition, and the meticulous passing of heritage across generations. But now, amid mounting concerns over King Charles's health, a shocking accusation has surfaced. Camilla, the Queen Consort, is suspected of scheming to claim this precious artifact for herself. This move has sparked a firestorm of controversy within Buckingham Palace, pushing internal tensions to a breaking point. Amid whispers of family discord, Prince William has unleashed a chilling warning, viewing Camilla's actions as a dangerous overreach that threatens to destabilize the core values that have shaped the royal family for centuries. With the monarchy at a crossroads demanding stability more than ever, this clash over a historic tiara has captured everyone's attention. Commissioned by King George VI for Queen Elizabeth, later the Queen Mother, and crafted by the prestigious Cartier, the Cartier Halo Tiara stands out with its intricate scrolling design and brilliant cut diamonds, resembling an ethereal halo. Over decades, this iconic relic has quietly passed through royal lineages, only to shine anew when Catherine Middleton chose it as her wedding centerpiece. Catherine's decision was more than aesthetic. It's been analyzed as a meaningful link, tying the legacies of Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother to the modern fate of the monarchy. Royal historians and style experts note that by reviving this nearly forgotten antique, Catherine sent a powerful message of devotion to tradition, a deft move that resonated with the public's yearning for stability in a time of upheaval. Since then, the tiara has become entwined with her personal journey and the broader story of a monarchy confronting the challenges of a new era. Is Camilla truly disrupting this order, or is this a misunderstanding amid a storm of power? Let's dig deeper. Camilla, Queen Consort, has undergone a turbulent journey, from a controversial figure to a respected royal. But is this transformation as solid as it seems? She has unflinchingly embraced every facet of her role, often appearing adorned with historic jewels once exclusively tied to Queen Elizabeth. Is this part of a grander scheme to solidify her authority within the institution? Yet, the heart of the current tempest lies in allegations that Camilla is targeting the Cartier Halo Tiara, a treasure many insist should be reserved for the future Queen Consort. Palace sources reveal that her fixation on this tiara is far from random, suggesting a calculated move to expand her sway over the royal collection. By unspoken tradition, items like the halo are set aside for future generations. Catherine's choice to wear it was once seen as a declaration of her destined role, so Camilla's interference could upend this order, a risky precedent that might unravel the principles governing the distribution of royal heirlooms. For Camilla, the tiara's allure is undeniable. By donning jewels once owned by Queen Elizabeth, she not only evokes history, but subtly asserts her worthiness of royal symbols. Recently, at a state dinner, her decision to wear a sapphire and diamond tiara linked to the late Queen stirred both curiosity and suspicion among royal circles. This bold act, though reminiscent of her predecessor's elegance, has met with fierce backlash. Is it reverence or an overstepping ambition? The saga reached its peak with Prince William's reported reaction, the heir to the throne and often regarded as the guardian of the monarchy's future. Known for his unwavering dedication to preserving his wife's legacy and royal traditions, William appears to have erupted over Camilla's intentions. An insider describes his response as stunningly forceful, quoting him, "This tiara isn't just jewelry, it's a symbol of royal heritage meant for the future." In private talks, William allegedly cautioned that Camilla's actions could pave a perilous path, disrupting the allocation of royal treasures. "We stand at a critical juncture," he emphasized, allowing personal ambition to override centuries of tradition, gambles with the crown's unity and stability. But the question lingers. Is Camilla truly crossing a line? Or is William overreacting to an unclear threat? William's response gains even greater weight against the backdrop of King Charles's closely monitored health. The king's condition heightens fears for the monarchy's future, turning every internal rift into a focal point of public unease. For William, safeguarding the Cartier Halo Tiara is as much about preserving family history as it is about shielding the institution from turmoil. Could this signal an underground power struggle, or merely a misstep in a crisis? We need to probe further for the truth. The tiara controversy unfolds as scrutiny of King Charles's health intensifies, a matter growing ever more critical as the monarchy's burdens mount. Despite official assurances of stability, sources hint at unease within the palace over the king's long-term capacity to fulfill his duties. His health serves as a barometer for the monarchy's overall stability. Amid persistent medical concerns, the royal family must project unity. A public spat over a prized tiara is the last thing the institution needs. As a royal journalist observed, every move by family members is magnified in these chaotic times. If internal conflicts spill into the open, they could undermine the crown's core stability. Prince William's resolve to uphold the status quo emerges at a time when every choice faces intense scrutiny. His impassioned warning to Camilla reflects not just his personal commitment to tradition, but a broader call for unity. "Personal ambition must not overshadow the monarchy's collective welfare," he reportedly told senior advisors. Infused with personal loss and echoing Princess Diana's enduring legacy, his words serve as a poignant reminder that every historical symbol must be carefully preserved for the future. The debate over the Cartier Halo Tiara highlights the intricate interplay of human emotion and institutional tradition shaping modern royal life. In the British monarchy, heirlooms are more than decorative relics. They are tangible embodiments of history, status, and continuity. Every piece of jewelry, from the simplest brooch to the most elaborate tiara, carries tales of past grandeur and quiet hopes for future generations. Catherine's choice to wear the Cartier Halo Tiara at her wedding was widely seen as a potent symbol of continuity, forging a visible link to the legacies of Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother. Intertwined with the family's narrative across decades, the tiara holds profound meaning for her, representing both a personal milestone and a pledge to uphold monarchical traditions. Critics and admirers alike viewed it as a fitting herald of a new era, one bridging a revered past with an evolving future. Yet, should Camilla's alleged efforts to claim the tiara succeed, they could challenge these entrenched conventions. Many argue that the crown intends certain symbols to be passed to future generations to ensure its lasting relevance. Thus, the Cartier Halo Tiara is not just an item in the royal collection, but an emblem of identity and legitimacy rightfully belonging to the future queen consort, not a queen consort who has already fulfilled her historic role. The ongoing controversy offers a rare glimpse behind the polished facade of royal etiquette. Despite the royal family's outward image of unity and decorum, a meticulous negotiation of roles, duties, and privileges unfolds behind closed doors. This dispute illustrates a larger struggle, a clash between Camilla's established authority as queen consort and the forward-looking aspirations of Prince William and Princess Catherine. Royal insiders note that family dynamics are governed by a blend of tradition, protocol, and an unspoken understanding of roles. The tiara signifies far more than personal adornment. It has been worn by those shaping the modern monarchy's identity, carrying deep historical weight. By seeking to claim it, Camilla risks not only breaching convention, but eroding trust among those who see themselves as stewards of the future. For Prince William, this conflict is deeply personal. Raised with the memory of Princess Diana, a figure whose legacy has both haunted and inspired him, he is keenly aware of the meaning behind every royal act. His response to Camilla's actions, described by insiders as incandescent, reflects a firm belief that historical emblems must be protected for future generations. It pertains to the integrity of our family's legacy, he is said to have declared. Allowing boundaries to shift sets a precedent that could threaten the monarchy's core principles as we navigate an uncertain future. As the royal family grapples with internal discord amid waning public trust, the need for unity grows more urgent. King Charles's health, a subject of widespread concern, heightens the stakes. Any public sign of dissent could signal further instability within the institution. In this context, William's warning carries profound significance. His impassioned plea to preserve history and protect the crown's insignia transcends the mere allocation of a single tiara. It concerns the seamless transfer of power and the preservation of monarchical ideals. Every decision must consider the future, he reportedly said. We have a responsibility to safeguard what has been entrusted to us for the institution and the nation. This episode underscores the delicate balance modern monarchs must strike, upholding centuries of history while adapting to a rapidly changing world where public opinion can shift instantly. The Cartier Halo Tiara, with its storied past and deep meaning, encapsulates this dual challenge. The outcome of this dispute will undoubtedly mark a turning point in the British monarchy's ongoing evolution. Palace insiders suggest efforts are underway to resolve the conflict amicably. Senior advisors are reportedly holding discreet meetings to reaffirm the long-standing unwritten rules governing the distribution of royal heirlooms. With King Charles's health a persistent concern, any hint of internal strife could jeopardize his legacy and the monarchy's stability. By reinforcing the traditional view that the Cartier Halo Tiara should be reserved for future generations, the royal family seeks to send a clear message. Unity and respect for history must outweigh individual desire. There is no room for deviations from what defines us as an institution, a senior palace official stated. Our heritage is too precious to be subject to personal whims. Prince William's forthright stance is likely to resonate with a public that has long valued the delicate balance of tradition and modernity within the royal family. His determination to preserve the tiara and its symbolic weight underscores his commitment to a future where tradition and progress coexist. As he prepares to assume the full responsibilities of kingship, his message is clear. Each emblem and legacy is a thread in the fabric of the monarchy's identity. The dispute over the Cartier Halo Tiara reflects the broader challenges facing the British monarchy today. It embodies the tension between personal ambition and institutional duty, between the desire to innovate and the need to honor tradition. William's stern warning to Camilla is not just a reprimand, but a declaration that the crown's legacy must be protected for future generations. With its radiant history and emotional resonance, the tiara stands as a potent symbol of continuity, recalling the storied legacies of Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother, while representing the future embodied by Princess Catherine. As King Charles faces health challenges, the royal family's ability to resolve internal conflicts while maintaining national unity faces unprecedented scrutiny. William's intervention in the discreet resolution of the tiara controversy may well be seen as a defining moment, a time when the family reaffirmed its commitment to tradition amid personal ambitions. The Cartier Halo Tiara now serves as a powerful symbol of the monarchy, a tangible link to history, an emblem of continuity, and a reminder that even the smallest artifacts can embody a nation's aspirations and ideals. As the nation watches Buckingham Palace with curiosity and anticipation, one question stands out. Is the crown's heritage too valuable to be compromised in this storm of challenges? The royal family faces a complex labyrinth, from the demands of modern governance to simmering internal conflicts and unrelenting public scrutiny. What is really happening behind those palace doors, and who will uphold tradition amid this pressure? With King Charles's health under strict watch, the role of each royal in sustaining the institution's strength and unity has never been more critical. Prince William's resolute warning to Camilla rings like an alarm bell, but is it a cry to safeguard the monarchy's integrity or an emotional reaction to a lurking threat? This recent affair isn't just about a dazzling piece of jewelry. It's an investigation into legacy, duty, and the enduring allure of tradition. Signs suggest the royal family is scrambling to restore order and reaffirm its commitment to historic values. But will this effort extinguish the flames of controversy? Their message is unmistakable. Unity and a delicate balance between past and present will guide the British monarchy's future. Through every sharp word and deliberate action, the crown strives to prove it honors the past while embracing renewal. From the shimmering facets of the Cartier Halo Tiara to the whispered warnings in palace corridors, the true story of a royal family determined to endure time is slowly unfolding. But can they hold firm against the storm? At 75, King Charles just dropped a real bombshell that's left everyone gobsmacked and put all doubts to rest. He's confirmed what we've been quietly suspecting for ages. For decades, all sorts of rumors and whispers have trailed this future king, from his personal life to how he'd shape the monarchy. And now, with this jaw-dropping revelation, it looks like King Charles is finally ready to face the truth head-on. So what does this mean for the royal family, his legacy, or even the future of the British throne? Come on, Let's dive into the juicy details of what King Charles just spilled. Hey, did you know that King Charles' life hasn't exactly been a walk in the park since day one? Born on November 14, 1948, as the eldest son of Queen Elizabeth II and Prince Philip, Charles was pretty much set on a path like no other. He came into the world destined to be king someday. That pressure weighed on him from when he was just a little kid, even though back then he was just a boy growing up under the massive shadow of a powerhouse monarch. The way he was raised, totally different from any other kid in Britain, steeped in royal traditions, constantly under the public's watchful eye, and with this heavy sense of duty to the crown always hanging around. Now at 75, King Charles has finally opened up about what we've all been secretly wondering. And trust me, what he said might just catch you off guard. But hold up, before we get into that, let me share a couple of cool tidbits about him. And first off, Charles was never your typical future king that people pictured. As a kid, he was pretty quiet and liked his own company, with this sensitive, thoughtful vibe that was a far cry from the bold, confident leaders folks were used to. While his mom, Queen Elizabeth II, handled royal duties like it was second nature, Charles seemed to struggle with the huge expectations piled on him. From his days at Gordonstoun, where they say he wasn't exactly thrilled, to those awkward public appearances as a young guy, it was clear early on that the weight of royal life had him sweating buckets. As he grew into his teens and early adulthood, Charles found it tough to fit the mold people expected of a future monarch. He was into stuff that wasn't exactly standard for a prince. Think intellectual pursuits, art, and environmental issues, things he'd later champion while waiting his turn for the throne. But back then, those interests didn't quite line up with what the public thought a future king should be into. Everyone wanted a strong, charismatic leader who could stand tall against the pressures of a modern monarchy. Instead, they got a guy who seemed unsure, reserved, and sometimes a bit out of touch with the everyday struggles of his future subjects. Charles' quiet nature often got mistaken for aloofness, and he'd get flack for being too serious or missing the charm his mom had in spades. Every time he stepped out in public, the media and folks would scrutinize him top to bottom, which only fueled growing doubts about whether he'd cut it as king when the time came. Even inside royal circles, there were whispers that maybe he wasn't the right fit to lead the monarchy into the future. His clumsiness at public ceremonies and knack for dodging the spotlight just added to the worry. The pressure ramped up even more thanks to the towering figure of his mom, Queen Elizabeth, loved by all and famous for her steady, hands-on approach to royal duties. Next to her, Charles looked less decisive and nowhere near as ready for the crown, sparking questions about whether he was up for the job. Honestly, people couldn't help but compare him to her and wonder, does this guy have what it takes to steer the monarchy through this fast-changing world? As Charles grew older, some of his personal choices only deepened those doubts. Take 1981, for instance. The whole world was buzzing as Prince Charles tied the knot with Lady Diana Spencer in a massive royal wedding. The ceremony at St. Paul's Cathedral was pure spectacle, and the young couple instantly became global stars. Diana, just 20 at the time, won everyone over with her beauty, elegance, and what seemed like the perfect modern princess vibe. On the surface, it looked like a match made in heaven. But behind that royal glitz, cracks in their relationship started showing up pretty quick. Right from the start, there were hints that things weren't smooth sailing for Charles and Diana. A 12-year age gap, plus totally opposite personalities, stirred up some tension. Charles, in his early 30s and used to royal pressures, was all about his duties and personal interests. Meanwhile, Diana got thrown into the global spotlight and struggled to cope with the relentless scrutiny that came with being a royal. Even with those underlying issues, the public was totally smitten with them, and Diana soon earned the title People's Princess. But as time went on, it became obvious Charles and Diana were on completely different paths. Diana's charm and compassion had people adoring her in a way that totally overshadowed Charles. She had this natural knack for connecting with folks, especially through her charity work and public appearances. Charles, on the other hand, often came off as distant and reserved. The media played a huge role in blowing up this perception, painting Diana as the warm, relatable princess and Charles as the cold, emotionless future king. The public's eyes were glued to their marriage more and more, and every move Charles made was under a microscope. The press kept comparing them, and as Diana's star rose, Charles' flaws stood out even more in people's minds. The brighter she shone, the more he seemed to fade into the background. Before long, rumors of trouble in their marriage started swirling, and all eyes turned to the cracks in their royal partnership. One of the biggest reasons their marriage fell apart was Charles's ongoing relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles. Even before marrying Diana, Charles had a close bond with Camilla, and that didn't stop during his marriage. When details of this came out, the media went wild, pushing the Charles and Diana drama to fever pitch. His infidelity trashed his image and sparked a wave of sympathy for Diana, seen as the wronged wife. Diana's famous 1995 BBC Panorama interview only widened the gap. She opened up about her struggles in the royal family, her mental health, and the strain in her marriage to Charles. Most memorably, she dropped the iconic line, "There were three of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded," hinting at Charles' long-running thing with Camilla. Public sympathy for Diana skyrocketed, while Charles' reputation took a massive hit. He was pegged as the guy who not only messed up his marriage, but betrayed the beloved princess. Diana's legacy kept growing after their 1992 separation and 1996 divorce. She became a global icon, using her platform to champion causes like landmine awareness and HIV/AIDS research. Her compassion and ability to connect personally made her one of the world's most admired figures. Charles, meanwhile, kept wrestling with his public image. Even post-divorce, Diana's shadow loomed large, making it tough for him to shake the view that he was a cold, distant guy who didn't value the wife he once had. When Diana tragically died in a 1997 car crash, the world mourned, and the royal family faced harsh criticism over how they handled it. Charles, in particular, was seen as detached, reinforcing the public's belief that he wasn't cut out for the emotional demands of leadership. Though he tried his best to navigate the fallout from her death, the overwhelming love for Diana and the media's focus on her legacy kept defining him for years. He was labeled the man who wronged the people's princess, a tag that stuck with him well into later life. But lately, in the past few months, there are signs Charles has started digging deeper into his past, including his relationship with Diana. At 70, it seems he's rethinking the role she played, not just in his life, but in shaping how people see him and the monarchy as a whole. Diana's legacy still packs a punch today, and Charles, now king, appears to have a fresh take on how vital it is to connect with people personally and compassionately, like she did. There's a hint that Charles might be looking back at some of his past moves and decisions, especially around his marriage and Camilla. While the damage from those years can't be undone, his recent approach to royal duties suggests he's learned a thing or two. In a way, Diana's lasting impact might have nudged Charles toward a more empathetic, hands-on style as king, maybe in a final bid to win over a public that's long seen him as distant and out of touch. His marriage to Diana, its chaos, and the aftermath have undeniably shaped how people view Charles. Yet now, in his later years, he's showing signs of owning up to those past struggles, stepping into his role with a seriousness and reflection that could well tie back to lessons from Lady Di's memory. But that's not the only thing tied to what he's finally admitted at 75. So stick with me here. Charles holds the unique title of Britain's longest-serving heir apparent. For over 70 years, he waited in line for the throne, living under the shadow of Queen Elizabeth's reign. While the public focused on the Queen's steady service and strong leadership, Charles' spot as the future monarch often felt more like an endless holding pattern than a clear role. His whole adult life was spent prepping for a job that always seemed just out of reach, leaving him with a frustration that trailed him for decades. Charles' wait was unprecedented. No other British monarch has been an heir for as long as he was. That long delay definitely fed into the idea that he was a guy stuck in limbo, always on the brink of kingly duties, but never quite getting there. It's easy to imagine how frustrating it must have been as the years ticked by, unable to fully step into the role promised to him since birth. And that frustration, it wasn't exactly a secret. As he got older, people kept asking whether he'd ever become king, and more crucially, whether he could handle the gig. With his mom reigning into her 90s, some wondered if Charles would even get the crown, or if it'd skip straight to his son, Prince William. Those doubts, paired with the public's fondness for the younger, more charismatic royals, only deepened the uncertainty around his future as king. But Charles didn't just sit around twiddling his thumbs during those waiting years. While the throne stayed out of reach, he found other ways to make his mark. Without full-on royal duties, he poured his energy into causes close to his heart. Think environmentalism, architecture, and charity work. These efforts became a big part of who he was publicly, giving us a peek at the man behind the Prince of Wales title. Charles has been a green advocate for ages, way before climate change hit the mainstream. He was raising the alarm about deforestation, pollution, and unsustainable farming. His environmental passion often got skeptical side eyes, especially early on when those issues weren't global priorities. But he stuck to his guns, using his platform to push sustainable practices and conservation long before they were trendy. Over time, his forward thinking earned him props for being ahead of the curve, though it also drew flack from folks who thought a future king should stick to more traditional royal stuff. Beyond the environment, Charles was into architecture and urban planning too. He wasn't shy about slamming modern designs he thought clashed with the UK's historical and cultural vibe. His takes on architecture stirred debate, especially when he publicly bashed some big-name building designs. Despite the pushback, he stayed true to his vision of keeping Britain's towns and cities aesthetically on point, even setting up the Prince's Foundation to promote traditional building and sustainable urban growth. On top of that, Charles threw himself into charity work through the Prince's Trust, which he kicked off in 1976. He helped struggling young people get skills and jobs, and over the years, the Trust has supported hundreds of thousands, earning him a rep as a philanthropist who's serious about making a difference. Still, public opinion on Charles stayed split. His environmentalism and charity gigs won respect in some circles, but plenty of folks saw him as a bit out of step with the modern world. Some pegged his outspoken takes on things like architecture and organic farming as quirky, if not a tad elitist. For years, the question lingered, is Charles really king material? That readiness question dogged him all through his time as heir. People used to Queen Elizabeth's steady, traditional leadership weren't always sure Charles was cut from the same cloth. His personal struggles, like the rocky years with Diana, only fueled more doubts about whether he could handle the crown. Even his forward-looking environmentalism, now widely embraced, was once seen as odd, raising fears he might not be the stable, consistent monarch the country needed. But in recent months, it seems King Charles is starting to own up to those long-standing suspicions. As he steps into his kingly role, there's a vibe that he's reflecting on those endless waiting years and the public doubts that came with them. Charles' role as dad to Prince William and Prince Harry has had its highs and lows. After Diana's tragic death, he was left grappling with his own grief while raising two boys in the public eye. Her loss left a gaping hole in their family, and Charles had to guide William and Harry through their key years under constant scrutiny. In many ways, his bond with his sons has been tricky, especially with the media always watching. With William, the more duty-bound and ready for royal life son, things were sometimes tense but mostly steady. Charles could offer him a path like his own, rooted in monarchy traditions and expectations. But with Harry, it's been a lot stormier, especially lately after Harry stepped back from royal duties and moved to the US. The family dynamic got visibly fractured. Harry's candid digs at the royals, including his dad's parenting and how the institution treated Meghan Markle, caused a rift that's still not fully mended. Charles found himself under public pressure again, this time about keeping the family together. Despite the drama, these personal struggles might have sparked a shift in his outlook. Lately, there's been chatter that Charles is starting to grasp the weight of his responsibilities, not just as king, but as a then public figure. Those tough times with his sons, though not openly admitted, have surely shaped who he is today. A guy who, at 75, seems to be rethinking both his personal and royal duties. But there's one more thing, or rather, person, we should zoom in on. Camilla and his role as king. The relationship between King Charles and Camilla Parker Bowles has long been one of the most talked about parts of his personal life. What started as a scandal during his marriage to Diana eventually led to their 2005 wedding, a move many saw as bold for a future king. For years, Camilla got a rough ride in the media, often dubbed the other woman, who helped break Charles and Diana's marriage. Public opinion was fiercely against her, and folks wondered if the British public would ever accept her as a royal. Over time, though, her story shifted. As the years rolled on, she took on a more active, visible role in royal duties, teaming up with Charles on charity efforts and public outings. The couple's dedication to their causes and steady presence in public life slowly softened people's views of the woman who'd one day be their queen. She might never have hit Diana-level popularity, but Camilla's image went from scandalous to accepted. When Charles took the throne in 2022, Camilla became Queen Consort, a title that still sparks some debate but shows her place beside Charles as he leads the monarchy. Charles' first months as king weren't without hiccups. Switching from Queen Elizabeth's long, stable reign to his came with its own challenges. People questioned whether Charles, now in his 70s, was really up for being a modern monarch. Lingering doubts about his past choices in personal life, plus worries about matching his mom's decades of respect and unity, hung around. During this time, Charles faced big pressure to prove himself. He had to tackle the challenges of his new role while dealing with the intense public scrutiny that's followed him most of his life. Early in his reign, he took on those doubts headfirst, zeroing in on issues that mattered to him and the country. He kept pushing environmental causes like he had for decades and worked to keep the monarchy relevant while honoring tradition. As king, Charles has slowly started quieting down some of those doubters about his leadership chops. His steady approach, plus Camilla's growing acceptance, has helped him stand firmer as monarch. The shaky start to his reign seems to have given way to a more confident style, one that reflects a man who's spent a lifetime gearing up for this. Though it kicked off with uncertainty, Charles has made some key changes that signal a fresh era for the monarchy. As his leadership keeps evolving, there are signs he's ready to take on the responsibility. So, at 75, King Charles finally came clean about what we've all been suspecting. He spent decades fighting for environmental causes and speaking boldly on stuff close to his heart. But now he admits his leadership style has shifted, more measured, cautious, and focused on keeping the monarchy stable rather than chasing big, bold reforms. This new approach is clear proof that Charles might have finally embraced his role's weight in a way people long wondered if he could. One of the biggest signs, he's stepping up his game in domestic and international affairs. Since taking the throne, Charles has shown a renewed commitment to his duties, getting more hands-on than many expected. He's popping up more at state events, diplomatic meetings, and charity gigs, signaling he's ready to lead with a steady hand. His schedule's packed with official engagements now, and he seems more determined than ever to rep the monarchy on the world stage. This uptick in action shows a king who, despite his age, is eager to prove he can steer the royal ship right. Charles is also tweaking how he handles past criticism. For years, he was seen as distant, especially after his marriage to Diana. The public turned hard against him when his affair with Camilla went public, and Diana's sudden death only cemented the idea that he'd failed to meet expectations. As a husband, a future king, and most importantly, a dad to little William and Harry. "My wife was loved by millions," Charles once reflected about Diana. He also owned up to what we'd all suspected. She was a devoted mom. Her legacy, even decades after her passing, still casts a long shadow over the monarchy, and it's clear Charles has had to come to grips with the public's deep affection for her. Now as king, it seems he's finally ready to face that legacy, acknowledging both the admiration Diana earned and the flack from their rocky relationship. The gap between him and his sons, especially after Diana's death, has been another lingering issue. Things with Prince Harry are still tense, with Harry openly slamming both his dad and the royal setup in recent years. But Charles seems to be taking a more restrained tack, steering clear of jumping into the noisy family drama publicly. Maybe part of a bigger push to keep the royal vibe neutral. That's a big shift from his younger days when he was more vocal on divisive topics. Moving to a traditional, calmer royal stance has won him some respect. as he now seems more about preserving the institution than pushing his own views. So, what do you reckon about King Charles? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We'd love to hear what you think. Love to hear what you think. Love to hear what you think.